So, I think most of you know my name, but I'll introduce myself again, Mr. Dyer.
No, you're in the dark. It's back, you're in the light back here.
That's what I wanted over there in the spotlight, where Mr. Conway is. Mr. Conway's in the spotlight,
Yeah,
right?
I don't like the spotlight. I'm gonna go back to the dark.
Colin, am I loud enough if I am not on the speaker?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
Okay. So this morning, we're going to talk to you about course scheduling for 9th grade. 6th graders, this is an early preview, so I just appreciate you to listen. This isn't really aimed at you, but I know you're sitting to listen. 8th graders, we're early, right? It's December, and already we're thinking about your 9th grade year. So I heard a couple of you say, well, this is 9th grade orientation. Why are we talking about that? We're 8th graders, right? Here's the news. In the coming month, you will be scheduling your 9th grade year, your freshman classes. So what we're doing this morning is we're going to give you a preview of some of the classes that you get to choose, your elective classes. So you're going to hear from a number of adults and talking about their classes. So I think it's really important that you listen to hear what they have to say. So as you sit down with your counselor in the next few weeks, we'll do a few of these meetings before winter break, and then when we come back, we'll do some more of those 8th grade planning meetings for 9th grade. You can have a good idea about what those classes are that you might be able to take. Okay? Before we hear from Mr. Conway, Principal Gow is just going to say a couple words.
Okay, here's what I'd like you to do, okay? Before you start hearing from the teachers, I'd like you to create a mindset for yourselves. And it's a very simple mindset. Where am I going? You may not know exactly what you want to do with your life, but you've been in school long enough that you understand what you're good at, what you're not so crazy about, and what you'd like to learn more about. You've been in school long enough to know that. I'd like you to put those things in your head as you listen to these teachers, because what these teachers represent to you are opportunities. Electives are those unique things in school that you choose, that you get to learn more about yourself, that you get to learn more about your talents. So always put yourself in the mindset, where am I going? What am I good at? What am I not so good at and I'm not so crazy about it? What would I like to learn more about? If you choose your electives based on those questions, you'll be doing what's best for you. That's what you want to do when you're talking about electives. So that's your challenge today. You can sit there and listen passively and just do what somebody tells you to do, and that'll get you about this far. Or you can think about those 3 questions and where you are going, and you can have those electives take you this far. That's what I want for each one of you. And I know you can do it. I know you can do it. You've been in school long enough, you're smart enough, and you're self-aware enough to make this work for you. Keep that in your mind as you listen to these teachers and the opportunities they have for you. Thank you. Good luck.
All right. Hi, everybody. How we doing? Good. So I want to talk to you about PE for your high school career. All right. We have 2 directions you can go in for PE. You can choose to go towards team sports, or you can choose to go towards personal fitness. In team sports class, we get a little more involved in rules of each of the different sports, the traditional sports, soccer, basketball, football, floor hockey, badminton, those kind of things. And we take maybe 1 or 2 classes and do some skill review, and then the rest of the unit is all about gameplay. And we set up tournaments, and we learn specific field dimensions and positions and rules. Okay, so if you're interested in playing team sports and you like that part of PE class, then you choose that pathway. Okay, the other path is personal fitness. In personal fitness, you'll get a chance to create your own personal workouts. You'll get exposed to different styles of exercise. Okay, it gives you a chance to be in the weight room and learn more about the weight room and in-depth discussion about how to use each piece of equipment. This year right now is our first year of doing this, and it's gone very well. I think people have made very smart choices. Okay, so going back to what Principal Gallo said about you make a choice, you know, you're going to make a choice to go team sports or personal fitness, and because you made that choice, our expectations for you are pretty high. Okay? So really think about that decision as you go forward. And of course, you can see me, you see me in the cafeteria, you see me all over the school, you can ask me questions at any time to get more detailed descriptions of those two pathways. The other difference is that PE in high school is every day for a semester. Okay, it's not every other day, it's every day. Okay, so you could do team sports 1, and then as a sophomore do team sports 2, or you could do personal fitness 1 as a freshman, and then personal fitness 2 as a sophomore. All right. Health is required for all sophomores, and the fitness test is given to both classes, personal fitness class and team sports. Okay? My advice to you before I go is this: make sure that you get your PE done freshman year, get your PE and health done sophomore year, because if you get behind, it gets really hard to get caught up because you have a busy 4 years ahead of you. Okay? So listen to your guidance counselors when they tell you you have to take this class at this time because it's important. All right? Any questions, ask me. Not now, but maybe during lunch, okay, during gym class. Okay? Sound good? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. So for career and technology education in the high school, you have a couple of different tracks that you can go through. One is business and marketing. So you could do intro to business, investing, entrepreneurship, where you would get a little bit of marketing education also. And we have a brand new course that Mr. Spear is also teaching called Intro to Computer Science. But it's mostly like unplugged computer science activities. So if you like games and puzzles and stuff like that, and trying to solve problems, that's a really great class to get you interested in maybe higher level computer programming in the future. So I see a lot of my scratch stars here. That would be a really good class for you to take, or you could wait until the computer programming comes around again in my rotation, and that would be higher level programming with Java and Python, stuff like that. But that's on a rotation with some other classes. So next year in the tech classes, that would be robotics 1 and 2, and also mobile app design. So the last word on that class is design. So it's mostly a design class. Although there will be a little bit of coding, it's mostly like a design and like a really artistic, creative class. So if you're interested in apps and you like all the apps on your phone and stuff, and you want to know a little bit about how they're designed and made, that would be a really good class for you to take. Robotics 1 and 2. 2 would be open to anybody who took robotics already, so that wouldn't be open to you, but you could take robotics 1, and then if you wanted to continue with that, you could go into robotics 2 class and go to like big competitions and have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun with that. If you come through my room, you'll see those big giant robots that are as tall as Liam said to me today, Miss Gambino, I don't like this robot. I said, why? He said, because it's taller than me. So, you know, you could come build these monstrosities and be able to program them, and it's just super fun to be able to accomplish the tasks that you need them to do. So the other classes that we have are also really exciting. We have some new options for you in Ms. Pitt's area. So for the TV studio, I'm going to introduce Ms. Pitt, and she's going to come up and tell you about her exciting classes for next year.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so I'm teaching 4 classes next year, and I just want to kind of quickly go through them, maybe a minute about each one so that you can get a little bit of an idea of what we will be doing. I'm teaching a class called Social Media Marketing. Basically, this is like an advertising class, but the advertising of the past is where you would see different advertisements on billboards and in magazines and in TV commercials. But that really is the advertising of the past. The advertising of the future is all digital. So we'll be seeing all of these ads and commercials now happening on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram. This is where companies are spending most of their money nowadays when it comes to advertising. So this class will teach you how to create ads that are effective for advertising tools through social media. The other class is TV production and broadcasting. This is a really, really fun class, and it's been pretty successful this year. For this class, students will learn how to create newscasts. And these newscasts that they create are actually for Fox 61. Fox 61 is an affiliate of the Fox network for news. And basically what they do is they have a section on Fridays and Saturdays where they literally just put on student news. And they play the newscast about 6 different times. So we've had 2 different groups so far already be featured on television with their newscast on Fox 61, and they've had their videos played on Fox 61, which is a television station that we can see here in Connecticut. So this is a really cool class where we partner with Fox 61. You go out, you're a reporter, you have a little Fox 61 microphone that has a logo on it, and you say, you know, I'm here reporting for Fox 61 Student News. And we've been submitting those to Fox, and 2 have played so far, and you can also win up to $12,000. So that's kind of cool, and that's supposed to be used for school stuff, so if you need a new computer and you win, go ahead. Next, digital media communications. Digital media communications, DMC, this is where we create videos. The videos they include things like fictional shorts, so made-up stories, they're short. They also include things like how-to comedy skits and documentaries. So these are the things that we'll be doing in digital media. We have some really cool tools. We have a drone that Ms. Gambino and I just flew the other day. So we're starting to utilize that drone for some pretty cool drone shots. We have a lot of different Steadicams, iPhone Steadicams, et cetera, et cetera. I see you girls laughing because you got to play with them yesterday. But so yeah, that's what we do with digital media. You learn how to use all those cool cameras and the equipment that we have in the studio to create awesome films. And then lastly, graphic design. Graphic design is where you will learn how to create different kinds of graphics using the Adobe suite. Adobe suite includes things like Photoshop, Illustrator, and After Effects. After Effects is pretty cool because we'll utilize the things that we create in Photoshop to animate them into actual animations. So that's where you're going to learn how to make animations in video. So those are the 4 different classes that I'll be teaching, and I hope to see you there.
All right, hey guys, how you doing? Good. All right, excellent. So my name is Mr. Raposo. Most of you know so. The couple things that we end up working at the high school. High school, of course, you have band and choir and orchestra. Those electives are there. They're full year electives. They meet every day. Those are the ensembles that you have. The additional music electives that we have are both semester-long courses. The first is sound design, and sound design is basically held in that computer lab right next to Miss Files, where we work with GarageBand and Logic, and next year with Ableton, and they're all DAWs, digital audio workstations. We essentially go into music production, music production for video, music production for essentially like the opening of films, doing little scores for commercials. We learn the art of Foley, which are all the sound effects for movies. So we take a silent picture and we actually create an entire soundscape for that using found objects, using microphones. Nothing digital about that except the ending when you go through and do the editing process. And then we make a record player. That's like one of the things we end up doing as well. We make a record player from cardboard and Legos and some of the stuff that Ms. Gambino has. And you learn how to actually create the sound and get a record to work. Currently we're writing, and the last thing we end up doing is we write a couple of rock songs and we record those in the music studio that's in between the band and choir room, and it's all student driven, and each student edits their own version of those 2 or 3 songs that we end up recording. So it's really fun. If you're into music and into creating, that's very much a project-based class. It would be almost the equivalent of an art class for music, where we go through the directions and then you're going in, it's like hands-on working. The music theory class, that's a nuts and bolts class, more on the academic side, where if you're interested in writing and studying music and how music's put together and how things kind of work, you do a little bit of singing, a little bit of analyzing, and you study from Bach to rock, essentially, where you go through and write if you ever opened a hymnal at a church service and they write those 4-part chorales and they have those things, you go from there all the way to studying Beatles tunes and current day tunes and how they kind of are all put together. So those things are, if you're into the academic side of learning how music works, that's a really great class as well. Okay? And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask, because I'll be around if you have questions about those specific courses. Have a great day, guys. Thanks for being involved.
So I think you all know what art is. You've been having art classes since kindergarten. So kindergarten to 8th grade, when you took art, you took everything all mixed together in that class. So you did some sculptures with clay, you did some paintings, you did some drawings, you did some printmaking, all different kinds of art in one class. When you get to the high school though, we break it up into one kind of art. So you have to choose which pathway of art you would like to go to. There's a drawing and painting, which is all two-dimensional flat artwork. So anything that is flat, you would be doing in that class. And all kinds of paints like acrylic and watercolor and tempera paints, or drawing, all different types of drawing materials like colored pencil, marker, oil pastels, chalk pastels. Would be in drawing and painting. That's a 2D class. We have another pathway that's a three-dimensional pathway. So in there, you would do any kind of artwork that is three-dimensional, so that you can look at all the way around, that has depth to it, like plaster, clay, paper sculpture, all different kinds of sculptures in there. And then there's a unit in that course which specifically works with ceramics, which is anything made out of clay. There's a third pathway, which is photography. And for next year, I think we're not going to have a dark room. So it's all going to be based on digital photography. But as soon as the new building and all the construction is done, we'll go back to having a dark room. So it'll be balanced between dark room and digital photography. And then the last course that we teach in the art department, the last pathway, is wood or metal design. And that's more of a construction class, a little bit like the sculpture class, but more less artistic and more about construction, but still a little bit of art thrown into that. I want you to think, when you're thinking about your art classes, how serious you are about art. If you think you're ever going to go into something, if you love art, or if you think you're ever going to go into a field in art, you should choose one pathway. And you should start, we have different levels in each pathway. So say you chose photography. You would do intro to photography, intermediate photography, advanced photography, and then you can go into a class for just juniors and seniors called Studio Art Honors, or advanced placement art, where you get credit for college. So you have to think, do I want to get really strong in one area so that I could make a portfolio for college, or do I want to dabble in lots of things? Because if you're more of a dabbler and you don't think you're going to go into art, you could do an intro to photography, an intro to drawing and painting, an intro to sculpture and ceramics. So it's just kind of, you have to think about who you are as an artist and how serious you want to be in that. All right, so if you have any questions, you can ask me during art class, or you can ask Ms. Kanik during art classes.
Thank you, Mrs. Ray.
How many people, show of hands, I want to open with a question. How many people in this room at some point want to be a millionaire? Or multi-millionaire? All right, so we have a lot of people ready to enroll in business courses then, right? C24 is the room where millionaires are made in this school. All right, so let's talk about the different courses you can go into. Introduction to Business would probably be the first course that you would want to take. It gives you an idea of marketing, gives you an idea of business management, accounting, economics. Anybody in here have parents that work in business, just in general? Yeah, so any of those careers will kind of, get an idea of what they're doing, all right? And it opens some doors to pathways in business. So that's probably the first place you would look, is Introduction to Business. Then we have a course called Entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is an idea creation course where you're solving problems. So we talk about a common problem in this area or a common problem in the world, and you have to come up with a product or a service to solve that problem. It's a lot of presentations, all right? There's no tests, there's no homework. It's really, you come into class and you just problem solve and brainstorm with your peers and come up with some ideas. So Entrepreneurship is the second course in the business curriculum here. The third course, possibly the most important course you'll take in your life, is called Investing. All right, how many people in this room want to live in their parents' basement for the rest of their lives? A couple of hands, okay. I figured. All right. All right, so when you're ready to move out on your own, you need to know, how much should I pay for rent? What's the difference between an adjustable rate mortgage and a fixed mortgage? What's renter's insurance, homeowner's insurance? How much should I budget for electricity? Right? These are not things that you get taught in other classes. So if you come into investing, we cover that stuff early, and then we go into stocks and bonds and mutual funds and exchange traded funds, all the places where people have turned thousands of dollars into millions of dollars, billions of dollars, hedge funds, Bitcoin. Anybody seen anything on Bitcoin recently? Yeah, right? A lot of articles on Bitcoin. So that's all available in the investing course. There's a lot of time where you can just, research on your own, things that you would put your money into. We do a simulation. I give you 100,000 fake dollars, and you get to invest it. All right? So there's a website where you buy and sell stocks and you trade. And right now, Gavin McCabe and Cole Parrish are in first place. James Foote's in third place. All right? Some of them have made like 60 to 90% on their money at this point. So it's a really cool class. I would probably take that second or third in business classes, but you could take it first. I have freshmen in there right now that are taking it. So if any of you know Spencer Herron, you could ask him. You could ask him about investing class. He's in there. Owen Hibbard, Rachel Andrews, they're all in investing class right now, and you can ask them what they're learning and if it's a class that you would want to take either freshman year or further on. We also have an Exploring Computer Science class, which is taught by me in the Room of Millionaires, C24. All right, and that's another problem-solving class. Computer science, you probably think, like coding and Miss Gambino's room, but it's a little bit different. All right, it's something where you're presented with a problem, and we're not even on the computers for the first 6 weeks. Okay, so it's exploring computer science, but we're really learning how to problem solve before we get into any of like the techie stuff on that side of the program. So I would definitely take a look into any of those business courses. If you have questions about what you should take or what you should do, you could stop by my room. If you just want to come in and take a look at what we're learning, right? So your lunch ends and you're on your way to Miss Blum's room and you want to see what we're doing in 5th period, pop in there and see what investing class is doing. All right? Questions? So when they ask, what electives you want to take, just say, I want to be a millionaire. Anything Mr. Spear teaches, get thrown in there. All right? Good.
All right, so you guys heard quite a bit about some of the offerings in high school. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the process. When you sit down for your future planning meeting, your counselor, your family, and you will talk a little bit about how things went in middle school, how things are going this year. We're going to look at some of your standardized testing, and then we'll look at next year's classes. Some of the classes in high school are required, and some you get to choose. The ones you heard about today, you get to choose. Typically, as a 9th grader, you'll choose your PE health, or you'll choose some of the other electives. As Mr. Spear said, you're either going to do them freshman or sophomore year, your PE health classes. But you could take one freshman year, and that gives you 3 elective choices. So as you think about the people that spoke to you today, I'd like you thinking about which of those electives you would like to try out. Hopefully you have some thoughts about the future, about what you might do after Chappaq, or you're starting to think down the road a little bit. In 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, the counselors have worked with you on thinking about careers and helping you think about some of your strengths and how they might relate to future jobs. The electives here can also give you some more insight. So if you think you might want to go into marketing or into business, or you'd like to learn more about art, or maybe you want to try out some of the electives that Mr. Spear was talking about, because in addition to the PEs he's got, he's also talking about a leadership course, or they're talking about doing lifeguarding down the way. So some of the courses that we offer here could help give you more insight into your future careers, but they also might just be fun. And sometimes when students take some of those electives just for fun, they find out they really like them. And that helps them decide, maybe I do want to go in this direction. And some of those electives sometimes turn into a senior project. And then that could lead to a career. And sometimes we find out that maybe we don't like that. I've had students that have taken one of the electives and said, yeah, that's not really for me. I did great in it, but not the direction I wanted to go. Okay? So by the end of this week, your parents will get an email invite for course scheduling. It's going to be an online process like it was for the parent conference nights, so they can book a time. You will be invited to that meeting as well, because it's all about you when we look at your future plan and helping you come up with what your plan will look like in high school. We plan out freshman year, but we also look a little bit down the road at some classes in sophomore and junior year. We also talk about the requirements in high school, right? And for the last, I think, 2 minutes, I'm going to let you go to lunch a little early. Oh, yeah.
One more thing. So for the 8th grade science classes that already saw me, we did that interest inventory. There's a few 8th graders that are in biology, and we're working on getting you out of either an art class or a PE class so we can do the same thing. But think about that interest inventory that you guys took. That will be part of this meeting where you can look at, all right, these are the things that really interest me. That will also help you figure out maybe what electives you could possibly take. Because we want you to take courses, this is your chance to take courses that you really will have fun with, that you will really enjoy. Yes?
Would you be a cooking class?
Not that I'm aware of right now.
Right. Cooking may come back in, or hospitality pieces may come back in with Ag STEM. I mean, you guys are in a time that's really exciting at Chippewa because we'll be breaking ground with the new building, or the new parts of our building this coming summer. And by the end of your sophomore year, you'll have access to new classes. And as AJ just mentioned, cooking isn't one of the classes that we offer right now, but there's a good chance that we'll be doing some culinary experiences, some cooking type classes when you guys are juniors. So you'll be able to take some of those Ag STEM classes in your junior and senior year, which is pretty exciting. Those classes don't even exist in our school now. Yeah.
I think you were starting to talk about what is the deal with the Ag STEM program? 'Cause I'm
Yeah.
very confused.
So you've probably heard from your parents or heard news. We were approved by the state of Connecticut to build an Ag STEM parts of our school. And that construction is actually going to be starting right at the end of this coming school year. So they're going to start prepping for that over the summer. The major construction when you come back next school year will be undergoing. We're going to, the back end of the building where the science labs are now are going to be completely renovated. And then this side of the building, where on the other side of the hallway from band, that part of the building is also going to be under construction. So when you come back next year, those parts of the building are not going to be accessible for students and staff, which means that we're going to be moving some of the classes around different places.
Where are the science labs going to be?
So the science labs, they've identified like 5 rooms in the building that are going to be converted to science classrooms. Similar to like Mrs. Dabrowski's, if you guys remember back when you were in that room. I think there's some sinks, it was Barksdale's then, right? So it's going to be like that. It's going to be one of the rooms off of the CAF on either side. So the senior CAF right now is one because there's water and you can run gas into it. And on the other side, which is senior English, is going to be one of the rooms. So those, and then there's a couple other places in the building. I saw some other.
Hugh had a question though for a while.
Oh, Hugh, okay.
That was
Okay.
your question, okay.
Will the rooms be one of the science areas?
Which one?
The rooms?
It may be. We were shared that plan yesterday at the faculty meeting, and I didn't memorize it. But I know that they've already established where those places are going to be, and they'll be up and running for next year.
Will there be different science classes, different ones, biology or something?
Right. So let me walk through some of the classes that you have to take. So next year, the proposal is all freshmen will be taking physics, which is sort of like the class we have now. It's Earth and Science Systems, or Earth and Space Systems. So you cover a lot of physics when you're talking about planetary movement, the moons, learning about asteroids, right? There's a lot of physics when you got those big things that are moving around in space. But next year it's going to be focused a little bit more on physics. So you'll learn about light properties, a little bit about wave, so sound. And after that, as sophomores, the proposal is that you would take chemistry, and then in your junior year you would take biology or AP Bio. Does that answer that question, AJ? Okay. All right, other hands, yeah.
How many elective periods do you have to choose from? How many can you have?
So typically, freshman schedule is going to be 5 main academic areas: English, history, math, science, and a world language. Okay? That gives you 2 blocks of time that are going to be electives, or 2 of those periods. But since they're half year, they're really 4 classes. So you could take Intro to Photography, Intro to Sculpture, Intro to Business, and a PE. That could fill up your time. Or you could take Sound Design. You could take Band and PE, or Chorus and PE, right? Yep.
Are you having elective other high schoolers?
Are you having? Yes. So that's a big change. My own students, I have twins that are freshmen this year, and that was a big change for them, right? Up to this point, they've always been with their same grade students. This year, my daughter's in a culinary class, And there are all different ages in that. And I think that is sort of, she's used to it now, it's December, but when she started this school year, she was in with like seniors and juniors, and she's like, ah. And same thing in her art class, right? So that will be different like next year. Typically, Intro to Business is a freshman, sophomore class. The Intro to Photography, Intro to Sculpture, Intro to Drawing and Painting, those are mixed because the intermediate and the advanced classes happen at the same time. Same thing with sound design, same thing with band, same thing with course. So yes, many of your classes you'll be mixed, but you will find that the high schoolers are really nice people, right? Even if they're older. Luis?
Is there like a study period that you can choose, like a daily advisor?
So we do not have study hall at Chippewa, except for advisory. So it's the same as you have now in 8th grade, right? In high school, we don't have study halls. There's not a study hall block. The only people at our school that have that is seniors. Seniors can choose one of their times to have an open.
What about VHS?
So virtual high school, as freshmen, you could start VHS, and there are a lot of options on VHS. Typically, it would be an elective that you would take. You can't take place of like your regular English class or your history class or math, but you could take that as an elective time if you wanted, and we have freshmen that do that.
What about over the summer?
So the summer process for VHS is similar to how it is for 9th grade, but you would want to start that with your counselor this spring. So if you're interested in taking a VHS class over the summer, you certainly can do that, but you'd want to reach out to your counselor, have a sit-down talk with them beforehand, because there's a lot of paperwork that you have to complete before you can take the course.
I heard from someone that there's like virtual language and things online.
Yep. Yep. So virtual, you can go on the school's website and look under the virtual course catalog, or you could look at VHS. You can just type it in on Google search, a VHS search. You guys did a great job today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.